Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about 2021 knitting and the projects that I have planned. And I understand the irony in talking about planning right now at a time like this, but nothing's set in stone, nothing is concrete. These are just some loose plans with some ideas just to give myself some inspiration. I'm sharing this to hopefully give you some inspiration. And it also helps because I have so many ideas and so many patterns that I want to knit that I feel like I needed to get it all out and get a sort of cohesive, rough plan of what I want to knit, what my color palette is, that sort of thing, to make sure that I am actually knitting sweaters and knitting accessories that I will actually wear. So I have a count of everything I finished in 2020 that I can remember, and I don't want to reflect too long on this terrible year, so don't worry, I'm not going to do that. But in 2020, I finished 5 sweaters, 5 pairs of socks, 2 mitts, 2 beanies, and 1 shawl. For most of 2020, I was so busy that I wasn't even able to think about knitting. So I'm actually pretty proud of this list. This is an accomplishment for me. I am setting my goals a little bit higher for 2021, but I will also have a lot more knitting time. So I think I'll be fine. I think I can do it. Okay, so I put some project plans together, and I wanted to mention that all of the patterns I'm talking about, as well as the usernames of the people who have created some of the projects that I'm going to feature in this video, will be in the description box. So if you miss something, it's all going to be written out. So before I sat down to look at patterns and match up yarns, I created a color palette for 2021, and I think this is really, it just encompasses my style. I don't think it's like a 2021 specific color palette, but I've never really narrowed down what colors I like to wear. And I think that's really important when I'm putting so much time and money into knitting sweaters. I want to make sure that I'm wearing them and that I am choosing yarn that I will wear, that I will like, and that will kind of create a cohesive wardrobe for myself. So this first pattern is called Minaret. It has been in my queue pretty much since it first came out. I've really liked this sweater, and it's basically a t-shirt. It's a raglan construction. It is mostly twisted rib with some more intricate twisted stitches at the bottom of the sweater, and then it also has these really interesting puffy sleeves. I never ended up wearing any puffy sleeved sweaters, and I feel like this is a really balanced rendition of that trend. I've picked out 2 different yarns that I could use for this sweater, mostly because I want to try them both. So the first is Rowan Island Blend in the fingering weight, and this is a merino silk alpaca blend, which I think is very similar to what the designer used in their sample. But I could also go a different route and choose Rowan Creative Linen, which is a cotton linen blend, and go for more of a summer lighter t-shirt style sweater. So I'm not entirely sure which I will choose, but I did pick out some colorways that I think would look great. I could see myself knitting this in either a light cool toned gray, or going for a mauve or deep navy blue colorway. This one just really fits my style, and it just looks so much fun to knit. This next pattern is Pink Fizz, and it just came out, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, damn it, I have to knit this. It's totally my style. I love an understated lace. I think the placement of the lace is really cool. It's drop shoulder. It looks very easy to knit and very easy to wear. I'm not sure when I'll cast this on, if I'll even cast it on, but I did choose some yarn to go with it in case I do. And I picked out the Plucky Knitter because it's a yarn I've never worked with before, and I know that it's hard to get a hold of, so I'm not sure if I will be able to find it. But I picked up some mauve mushroomy colors that I really like. Of course, I'm inspired by the sample. I think I would be more likely to wear the darker color of the 2 that I picked out, and I was thinking that it could pair well with either a neutral gray or a beige. For sort of a muted, understated look, or maybe that pink that I have on there if I want to kind of brighten the sweater up a little bit. So I'm not entirely sure on this one, but I just had to put it on here because I can totally see myself knitting and wearing this sweater. This past summer, I knit my first linen summer top, and I wore it so much that I knew I had to knit another one. So I threw two up here. The first is Rift by Jacqueline Cieslak, and the second is the Staple Linen Top by Locatelli. I'm not sure if I want to go with like the tank or the tee. Maybe I'll end up knitting both. I don't know. But I really liked how they both have this like twisted rib element to them. That just is very aesthetically pleasing to me. I was also really, like, I love the aesthetic of Hohi's black tank. I think like a black linen tank top that you made yourself is just like the aesthetic that I want in 2021. Summer of 2021. Who knows what life will look like, but I just like want that for myself. A yarn that I've been wanting to try, it's called Drops Belle, and I think it's 100% linen, but it's a very affordable linen, and so I've really been wanting to try it, and I chose a few colorways that I thought might look nice. And then for the Rift tee, I chose another yarn that I have been wanting to try. I think I actually saw someone knit the Rift with this yarn, and it is the Kelborn Woolens Mojave yarn, and I think it's also a linen cotton blend. So either one of these yarns I think would work great, and I'm just really liking that like mauve mushroomy colors lately. I think that's a color that's really missing from my wardrobe right now. So yeah, I'm totally gonna knit myself a linen cotton summer shirt or two. Next we have the Stonecrop. This sweater has been on my mind pretty much since it was released, and I think there are two main reasons I haven't cast it on already. First is that it's mostly color work, and I'm not a huge fan of knitting color work, but I love the way that it looks. The second is that it looks really great with the spin cycle yarn that it calls for, and spin cycle yarn is very expensive, and it also varies so much in color that I've been a little bit nervous to purchase a skein online. I think I would rather see it in person. This main photo here is Alley Cat Knits on Ravelry and Instagram, and I just love the way that her Stonecrop turned out. I think she chose the best colorways, and I kind of just want to copy hers. If I don't end up purchasing the spin cycle, I also found this Zabberball Crazy yarn in a very similar colorway. It's got a bit more blue in it, but I think that could look really cool, and I will probably end up just going with that over the spin cycle, but I threw both of them on there just as like an option. And then I would probably end up going with a Quince & Co for the main white color. Oh, and I love this sweater, but I'm really not a fan of baubles. I don't like knitting them, and I don't love the way that they look. And so I found this person's project page where she removed the baubles and talks about how she did that. And I think hers looks great, so I will probably end up making that modification if I end up knitting this sweater. So I found this next sweater pattern several months ago, and since then it's like all I can think about. I mean, not really, but kind of. It's such an amazing sweater. I love it so much. I want it. I want to knit it. I want to live in it. It's such an amazing sweater, and it honestly might be the first sweater I cast on because I'm so excited for it. And Rowan just came out with this new yarn. It's called Soft Boucle, and it looks like it is going to fit the pattern perfectly. I am so excited. I also found some Knit Picks mohair in like almost the colors that the sample has. The pink is like a little too baby pink. I would like a more mauvey pink, but I honestly didn't look too hard at the mohair because it tends to get really expensive, and I don't really want to buy like a full skein of mohair for just these like little accents on this sweater. So if it comes down to it, this is probably what I would choose. If I can find something better, maybe like if I could find like a mohair mini skein, that would be like perfection, but I'm not sure if people even sell those. I don't know, but it's such a cool sweater, and I love the way that lace looks knit up in like a boucle yarn. It's just the best combination. Okay, so this next sweater I threw on here, I'm not sure about it yet. I feel like there's only 3 weeks out of the year that the weather actually allows you to wear something like this, so I'm not entirely sure if I will knit this, but if I do, I chose some colors. I was looking at the yarn that the pattern calls for, which is Yoth Mother. I've never worked with it before, but I love this like mushroom theme that I've got going on, and so I think that would look great with this sweater, with this t-shirt. I don't know what it is about mushrooms. I think I've just been playing so much Animal Crossing that I'm drawn to it. And I realized that these like beigey, grayy colors actually fit really well into my wardrobe and into the type of colors that I like to wear. Okay, this next sweater, Wool and Honey. It is the sweater. I've wanted to knit it since it first came out. Again, I think it looks so cool. It looks so interesting. It's not one of those sweaters that's like, it's not an everyday sweater, and so part of me is like a little bit nervous to cast it on because I want to make sure that I'm wearing my sweaters. But like, who cares? I'm gonna knit so many sweaters. Some of them are gonna be neutral everyday sweaters, and some of them are gonna be these like this type of sweater. So anyway, I just love this sweater. The pattern calls for Brooklyn Tweed Loft, which I have never knit with before. I've never knit with Brooklyn Tweed before, and so this would be a great opportunity to try the yarn out, I think. So I picked out 3 colorways. The first 2 are the ones that you're seeing on the sweaters here, and then the third button jar is the one that I will probably end up going with. I love green, and I end up wearing green so much that it's a color that really works for me, I think. So I think I'm gonna do it. I think this is gonna be the year that I cast on a Wool and Honey. We'll see, but I do really like the sweater. So the next few sweaters I planned around using stash. The first one is Woodfords by Elizabeth Doherty, and this is actually one that I have on the needles already. I cast it on, I think I cast it on this past January, but no idea, no concept of time. So anyway, I'm knitting it out of this Knit Picks palette yarn in this like light gray color, and I think this cardigan really fits my wardrobe. I cast this on as like an office cardigan. I was like, I'm gonna wear this every day in the office. And if I would have finished it, I probably would have, but anyway, so I'm not like the most excited about it because it's just one of those like neutral cardigans. It's a really nice cardigan, but it is fingering weight, so it's gonna take me a while. So I was able to snag some Brooklyn Tweed yarn in their last sale, and I got some yarn that is modeled after Ranch 2, or Ranch 02, however you say that, but it's like, it didn't quite turn out right or something, and so it was heavily discounted. Anyway, I ended up with that yarn in white, or like a natural color, and I didn't quite get enough skeins for a full sweater. But ever since that yarn arrived, I've been thinking about a Denise Bayron sweater for it. So I'm thinking the Wave of Change or the Grace pullover. And I can't quite decide. I like both. I'm leaning more towards the jacket. I think I would have to crop the sleeves and maybe crop the length a little bit more as well to make it work, or I was thinking about maybe knitting stripes, but I don't really know. I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to look at the yardage requirements, so I need to figure out what I'm gonna do with it. And then this next pattern is the Shift. Lots of Andrea Mowry patterns. I'm really sorry. I'm just a huge fan of hers. I actually bought this Dragonfly Fibers yarn specifically for the Shift cowl, and these are the exact colorways that I bought. I was definitely going for the vibe that she has in her sample, which is not really me. And I knew that purchasing it. I knew that these were like bright colorways that I wasn't sure if I was gonna wear. And I don't know, it's really fun. It's interesting. I'm not sure if I'll end up wearing the cowl, but I bought the yarn and I have it, so I might as well make it. So that's an accessory that will probably be a really fun knit, but I have no idea if I would wear it. I also threw in some accessories, 2 patterns from Andrea Mowry, one from Brooklyn Tweed, I think Jared Flood, and then a hat from Gudrun Johnston. I think all of these patterns look so much fun. I have the 2 from Andrea Mowry in my library already, so I'll most likely be knitting those at some point this year, but the other hats also look like just a ton of fun to knit. So, by the way, if you are interested in any of the pattern and yarn combinations that I put together, I will link a document where I put all of my project plans so you can take a look. So that's what I have planned for 2021. I say planned because who knows what's gonna happen, but that's my inspiration for the year. I totally want to know what you have planned to knit in the upcoming year, so let me know in the comments, and I will see you next time.